refer to me as moderator.
Okay.
Mr. Moderator.
Moderator's fine. We're here today to talk about making film trailers and what they're good for.
Why do you make them?
Why do you make them? Let's start there. So why would anyone? Let's first start with you don't have a movie.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
You don't have your movie shot yet, but you have a script for a web series, or a feature, or a TV show, or even a short film. Why would you go and make a trailer? 60 seconds.
60 seconds. To raise funding for it. Probably. I mean, that's a good reason to do it. And sometimes when you're making applications for funding, certainly for a feature movie, maybe not shorts, they ask for that. So we're kind of in a new world now where this is just something else you have to do. But it's good practice, and then you can think. There's so many things you can. I might be jumping ahead of myself, but you can start to think of your casting and how you're going to pull the movie off, or the short, or the television pilot if you actually had the money.
Sorry, and I just have a question. So if you shoot the trailer, then you have people that you're involving in shooting the trailer. They may or may not necessarily be the final cast?
That is true. In fact, I will show you some stuff this morning where there's people involved who weren't in Cooperman who helped us in the trailer. And there's different reasons for that. At the time, I mean, when you shoot your trailer, I think it's important to tell people that you might not use them politely. You know what I mean? Unless you're absolutely sure you're going to use them.
When I shot a small portions teaser, I used Dennis Trainer, but first thing I announced was I need some help this weekend on a little project I'm doing, and I said I'm glad to consider you if this ever got funding. We made it into a feature, but I'm not guaranteeing you anything but a ride up to Tignish and afternoon in the barn. Which is
A cold afternoon, it looked like.
Yeah.
An offer he couldn't refuse.
That's a good afternoon. Yeah. So yeah, and probably really, it's just best to tell everybody. Would be my advice from my experience that just what Adam said, that you're not sure you're going to use them. You appreciate them coming out to help you do this, because when you're doing this, you're probably doing it on some savings you have, or you may be able to do a Kickstarter or something and raise a little bit of money. And it's a small province and there's a lot of support here, so that's great. Like, it's often something you can do and get a little bit of money, and a little bit of money goes a long way in doing a trailer, because it's not a lot of time, so you're not shooting endlessly. And then, that does open up the conversation about how ambitious is your trailer as well. And my advice would be, think of a good way to say visual elevator pitch of your story, but think of a good way to do it that's realistic and affordable, because you want to make it really stylish and look good. But the more locations, actors, cranes, jibs, everything. There's lots of equipment at the IMAX, like maybe you can do that, but the more you do of that, the longer you're going to be shooting it. You might be getting people for free. It's all of a sudden it's just like, wow, we're doing this for a week.
Yeah,
we
for a
should have
trailer.
done that, but don't do that.
Yeah.
So, let me tell you a little story about the assassination of Michael Ellis. It was a script that a friend of mine had worked on, and he called me and said that he had the script and that I'd be a good person to direct it. And so I read it and I liked it, but there were just so many problems with it that I wasn't able to want to get behind it. And but I said, if you don't mind just signing over the rights to the story, I'd love to take all these characters and write them the way I see it. And he was like, totally do it. And so then I took his
Which is
story.
kind of unusual for a writer sometimes.
Yeah, giving away their baby.
He's pretty open-minded, this guy.
His name was Mickey Acorn, and he knew that I wasn't gonna fuck it up or anything. So even though I did a few times. But anyway, after a few drafts, I sent it back to him, and he loved it. But the problem with his script was there's just too many scenes in there that were just for jokes. They didn't really progress the story enough.
Mhm.
And so once I took all those out, then it was like only half of a movie, and so then I just filled it in with more character development scenes and pacing. So anyway, once I got to that point, then Telefilm had announced this new program called the Micro Budget Fund, and so I was super excited to take this to Telefilm, and part of that application was to do a pitch video and a trailer, which was optional. And I was like, oh man, my story's got kids in it. There's no way I'm going to be able to produce a trailer with kids with no money and have it be considered any sort of, to have the production quality that I see in my head and that I know I could do if I had some money behind it. So I opted not to do a trailer, and I submitted my application. And this is a real sad story, I want to tell you. So we went through the whole process of going through the IMAC round, and then we got sent to Telefilm, and we didn't get it, and we had to fight tooth and nail to get any sort of feedback as to why we didn't get it. And pretty much the only information that they gave us was there was a loophole in our budget, but they didn't tell us what the loophole was, and that we hadn't submitted a trailer, which was optional. And they said that all the successful applicants of the first year had a trailer that demonstrated their capabilities of storytelling and filmmaking. And so Brian and I, who was producer on the project, were upset and said, like, why is this an optional thing? Why are you saying it's optional if it's not? And I hated the idea of having to go out and film anything with no money, just because I think it's absurd that Telefilm would ask that. I could see someone else asking that, but Telefilm's like the national funding body for Canadian film, and here they are asking everyone to go out. But then I was like, I get it, cameras are cheap, people are doing this anyway, but it was just because my story was a little complicated, and this whole cast was children. I felt that it's not like I could just go and get my friends and go and shoot a horror movie. That it just, because then I had to get parents involved and permission, and then, had to work under child labor regulations, and so it was way more complicated. But then I thought, okay, I'm going to go and fundraise money to make a real trailer. And so I did a storyboard of how I saw the trailer going, and then we kind of broke it down from there into a budget and realized we needed $6,000 to do this the way I wanted to do it. And I wanted to, at this time, 4K cameras were new on the market, and I knew that I wanted to shoot it on a nice camera. Not really sure about 4K at the time, but wanted to get my feet wet with the workflow that comes with shooting on 4K. So my friend Jeff in Halifax, who shot Cooperman, worked at some video, and he brought a camera over, and he didn't want any money, but where the money went was, we actually did a Kickstarter, but we only raised half of our money, and then I had a private investor who was a longtime fan of mine throw $3,000 at us, and said, good luck. And so we got our funding, and we went and shot this trailer with kids, and it turned out awesome. And then I spent all summer long precisely editing it, putting in all the sounds, re-editing it, taking out all the sounds, putting in all new sounds, until I had something that just looked and sounded really good. And then I had the Postman in Halifax sponsor the trailer, so then it went through their color grading and sound mixing, which was super nice of them. So now I had this really professional trailer, and then I also spent a year rewriting the script again and again and again until I had it really nice. So I had this bulletproof application, and the story's almost done. And so I submitted it for the second year of the Telefilm micro budget, and when it got to the IMAX stage, Telefilm, I had Renee ask Telefilm a bunch of questions for me, but then they said that we could not submit the same project back
Oh,
under the
no.
same program.
Oh, no way.
If you had been put forward by IMAC.
That's
before,
right.
Because Cooperman submitted twice, but we didn't get put through by IMAC the first time their project did, so we were allowed to submit a second time.
That's right.
So this is purely a loophole.
This was, it,
Wow.
nowhere in the guidelines did it say a project couldn't be submitted twice, so of course, I fought the system as hard as I could, and I had Renee do a lot of the communications with Telefilm, and they kept coming back saying, no, the judges don't want to see another project, and I said, I can't, like, people gave me money to make this trailer, and now it's just going to sit on the internet, and so I got in touch with Telefilm, and I said, look, if all I did was change the title of the movie, it would have went through again. Like, nobody would have known because the script was completely different. I now had a trailer, but the title remained the same. So, but they said that in the guidelines, in the small print at the end, it said any decision made by Telefilm is final, and they used that against me and said that they look forward to my project following year. So that, I think that year, I was like, oh my God, I can't let this happen. So I said, the best thing I can do is be on the IMAC board and help
Lobby.
choose the project that's going to go forward because of my experience dealing with this. And it ended up being Cooperman's project that went through that year. And anyway, that's my trailer story.
That is
Long-
a really
long
sad story.
It is.
Yeah.
It's
Adam,
it is
Heard it
Did
already.
you shop it around after all that work, or did you stop there?
No, it kind of left a sour taste in my mouth, and
Yeah, but, every time you get a no, it's getting you closer to a yes. You should really throw it at Super Channel, of course.
it still had so many problems in the script that I wasn't happy with, that
Yeah.
I knew at that point that I just needed to take a break.
Oh.
And of course, I moved on to another project called A Small Fortune, which has also been rejected by the micro budget. But this time they were like super excited. They loved our marketing. They loved our story, and they loved our involvement of musicians in the film. So they said that it was good, but it wasn't the best one in the Atlantic provinces, and that they only were going to give one project this year to the Atlantic provinces.
Which is
sucks.
the other problem, right? The first year they did it, they gave away, I think, 13
One for each province.
in territory, and maybe
Yeah.
the next year, I think it was down to the year we got it 10 or 9
But
or
the
something.
applications go up.
The applications go
The
up,
number-
the
Because
number
they
they're
hear
giving
about
away
it,
every
yeah.
year has been reducing.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, we feel very fortunate we got it, of course,
Mm.
but all this stuff is competitive, but with the funding cutbacks, everything's getting a little more competitive.
Mm.
Don't be discouraged. I mean, it's a great program. Telefilm is really supportive when you come through with this program, if anybody in here ever gets it, and I hope somebody does. But it's, when we went through for it, and I remember how this all went down for you, Adam, I was just, my heart was breaking, I was just like, this makes no sense. But, and I'm not sure, I think the second year we applied with Cooperman, we read through all the fine print and found something, and I may be wrong, or maybe it was just like they have the final decision, but we thought maybe that you couldn't reapply if you'd gotten put through, but regardless, we hadn't been put through by IMAC yet, so we submitted the second time around. Now, the second time around, I think, I'm not positive, but I think they may have said, we want a trailer, or we want a script, but when we submitted the first time, the thing we did is anytime we see, this is what I do, anytime I see anything that's optional, I do it. The reason I do that is because I feel like you're going to be, when we went through the first time, and you'll see our trailer, and I don't like it at all, it's awful, probably part of the reason we didn't get the funding. That and our video pitch, which was really rushed. We have to do a video pitch as part of the, not to make the whole conversation specific to the micro-budget program, but to wrap it up, you have to make a video pitch to get the micro-budget program, and it's you, the producer, and the director talking to camera about why they should get behind your thing, and it can't be longer than 3 to 5 minutes long or something like that. Our second one was really strong, and we did it down at the comic book store. The first one we did on our couch with poor lighting. It was hardly edited. We were in such a rush. It was the last thing we did, and it was terrible. And I'm not going to show that to you today.
Aw.
But the trailer, the first time around, we just felt that when we saw that was optional, we were like, you know what, everybody's going to do one though, and that's probably going to be looked on favorably by telephone perhaps. With Adam's thing,
And
I-
can I
I'm-
just interject? Because
Yeah.
I actually was on the jury
okay,
at IMAC that selected the selected Cooperman to go ahead to
Right.
telefilm.
right,
And that's one of the things I found was that having the trailer, actually being able to see it, I mean, we had script pages too, but actually having, I mean, it's a visual medium, right? So it really made a difference having the trailers, not all of the submissions did.
yeah,
And it did make a huge
It's,
difference.
it is kind of that sort of visual elevator pitch, so
Yeah.
you know, you can have your synopsis, people can read that, and you want to make that tight in a sentence or two, but, and our second trailer that we submitted, that did get us the funding, I think we made some real improvements to it, but I'm pretty happy with what we have now, but our third trailer, I mean, it's the type of trailer you do when you can cut it from your movie, so that's kind of coming at it a different way, and we can talk about what might make that a good trailer. You may be able to apply that to a trailer you're making with very little money, but part of the reason it looks nice is it's all coming out of the color corrected footage. Like I wasn't going to any B-roll footage, I was going to like that one file that the postman gives us at the end, and sometimes I had to do tricks with the audio and pull audio out of my stems in order to not have music over the audio, to have a character talk over when the, you know, goes to a shot of black or something that comes up again. But the first time around anyway, when we decided to write the full script and to put a trailer in because we wanted to give ourselves every advantage we can, but I completely understand why Adam made that decision, because the thing is, they may have been going, well, we want to, working with kids is tricky, we want to see you're able to do that, and maybe even trying might have been a thumbs for them, who will ever know, but
But you
for
do have to
him though,
make
he
sure
probably
you,
were like, if the kids are good,
yeah,
if I can't
Well,
get kids who are
that's it.
convincing, right, you're,
yeah. You do have to put your best foot forward, that's,
it's risky with kids.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, and I think it was a really good experience to sit on the jury, because you get to see the proposals and you get to see what people put together. So, you know, I recommend for anyone, if they're going to be doing any kind of submissions for the micro budget, it's a good idea to be part of the process, and when you're not actively involved, obviously, when you don't have a project, because it really was very educational.
And I would recommend, we'll talk about trailers here in like less than a minute, but just for the micro budget thing,
30
if
seconds.
you're going after that, just based upon my experience, or maybe anything, but fuss over everything, like when you're making applications. I hate doing them. It's like, I should be, maybe I'm good at it, but I should like it more as a producer, but I don't like doing it, but I know how to do it, I guess, but fussing over the budget and, you know, so there's no loopholes or whatever, and then if there's optional things, if there's exploring ways you can pull those off. But a trailer, you know, when you're coming into making a trailer for an application, like, the challenge is often that you don't have any money. And I think Adam's strategy in raising some funds, it's unfortunate the way that turned out with that loophole for that specific program.
Because that trailer is awesome, I've seen it, it's incredible, yeah.
Well, I can't imagine how great the package was that they were gonna go
Yeah.
through, because you've done all the extra work besides the trailer. But,
And we're gonna see it, right?
yeah, we can watch that today probably.
Yeah,
It's there.
It's just like you spend all year like making this baby and then like wrapping it in like Kevlar and it's just bulletproof, and you're like, how are they gonna fucking say no to this? And then it's like, oh, they won't even look at it. It was heartbreaking.
But you know, seeing the trailers, and again, going back to that jury experience, there was a trailer that really didn't seem to have the same quality as the others, and really it does have an impact, even though, you know, you have the scripts of each one. The level of quality in the trailers, you know, I really, just reinforcing your point, be fussy and really do the
Yeah.
best you can.
But I think that's also a negative, like, it's basically like saying, well, okay, if you wanna make a film, you're gonna have to put up some of your own money up front and make a great trailer, or else,
Okay,
you
so
know?
let's, since this is about trailers, let's watch the first Cooperman trailer and then the second Cooperman trailer.
Griffin Cooperman has all the makings of a superhero. A trusty sidekick,
You're late.
I might actually care if you were gonna buy something.
a subterranean headquarters,
Oh no! What kind of comic book emergency am I gonna miss by showing up late?
Seriously though, man, check this out.
Oh, made in China. It's the Korean ones that have value.
Right.
An arch nemesis.
You've been served.
Eviction notice?
You owe me 3 months' rent, Cooperman. And according to the small print, you've got 1 week to pay.
1 week?
That's not enough time.
A friend he can call on.
Shall I?
That's not enough time. I need at least,
Resourceful serpent. Silence is displeasing its love. One week, Cooperman.
Yeah.
And a mission.
We need to save the store. The tournament. You know your new deck would kill there.
Maybe.
It's $5,000. You have to leave this town sometime. You're only going to Moncton.
Oh, Paris of the Maritimes.
You'd be able to pay off Troy, have a little extra, plus you would get out of that crazy doing favors for rent thing you have going on.
Do you think the internet's ready for this?
Saving something worthwhile is never easy.
Spare me.
You talking to yourself again?
Must be the fumes.
You should do some advertising, make some signs, drum up a little business.
Been doing this for 8 years. You don't think I've tried that?
I'm Christopher Robin.
What?
My best friend is Eeyore.
First of all, Christopher Robin's best friend is Winnie the Pooh. Secondly, you're no Christopher Robin. You're more like Rabbit.
Rabbit? Rabbit's a jerk. He's always bossing people around and telling them what to do. Wait a second.
Now all he has to do is figure out what his powers are. Cooperman.
Would you like to make some real money?
A comedy coming soon.
Feels like about 6 years ago now.
Oh, I'm sure it does.
But,
That was Graham in the
Yeah.
Yeah.
in the green. That's great.
So that was the trailer that we submitted the first time around. And there may have been other reasons, many other reasons we don't know, but we weren't put forward by IMAX that time. And, we were disappointed, but not heartbroken, but we went at it the next year and changed the trailer. When we look at the next trailer too, we can also talk about why it's better, maybe, or why I think it's
Is
better.
that trailer too?
Yeah.
You're lazy.
I might actually care if you were gonna buy something. Eviction notice?
You owe me 3 months' rent, Cooperman. You've got 1 week to pay.
1 week? We need to save the store. The tournament.
Maybe.
It's $5,000. You'd be able to pay off Troy, plus you would get out of that crazy doing favors for rent thing you have going on. You have to leave this town sometime. You're only going to Moncton.
Would you like to make some real money?
Cooperman. Learning to fly was scary as hell at first. It took me ages just to find the nerds to take that first step off the cliff. But who doesn't want to fly, right? You just gotta go for it. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? Ah!
So that was the one that we submitted when we went through. We reshot some stuff.
And change the title.
We changed the title again after this. Yeah. And that's a different story. For legal reasons, we had to get rid of DC Comics. Nobody wanted to insure us, so that became another nightmare while we were shooting. But the trailer, we reshot a few things, but cut it mostly out of what we did the first time.
Yeah.
Much more snappier.
Yeah. And it really told the story a little more succinctly. You know, like it was
Yeah.
really, it kind of went right into it, and it's like, it
Yeah.
told you exactly what was kind of what you were looking at, you know?
And no voiceover.
Yeah, there was
Yeah, I guess we
voiceover.
got-
Yeah.
Was it gone?
a little bit.
No, I guess
No,
you
it was-
used the
it was-
Yeah,
visual
we just-
cues.
yeah,
the
You
second
had it
time.
written.
So we'll get to that
Mark
technique
Uh-huh.
after we watch this.
Watch this. Whoops.
Are you mad? You've just shit-stirred a black belt?
Worry not. Troy Frizzle's a blowhard. You can evict me?
You owe for 3 months, Cooperman. And according to the fine print, I gotta give you a week to come up with it.
You're the new landlord.
Yeah. So consider yourself served.
We need to destroy Troy.
What do you have in mind?
I'll do all the law breaking. Just need you on lookout.
Okay.
That was definitely nuts.
That's our now trailer. Cut from the movie.
So even better when you have a full movie to pull from.
But you totally changed the whole, like, you
Let's
went
see.
from the telling the story to just kind of visually kind of showing,
Yeah.
you
so
know,
let's talk
showing a
about
little
the
bit, but there,
process
it didn't give anything
after you
away.
had, the film mastered to play with.
Yeah, well, that changed everything. Really briefly, like, first of all, the first one was really ponderous. The music, and there's music I wrote and that I got my band to play. So we're using all these resources. We shot the first one on the Sony F3 from the iMac, I guess it was. Did the second one, Anagram, because we wanted to show how the superhero was incorporated. We felt like he's living his fantasy life, and we need to show something that shows that we can do something like that. And so that's why we did that the second time around. But those choices were very, first of all, with the trailer, I think the wrong thing to do is like have a scene play out. Like that scene when they're doing that hot dog thing, Christopher Robin, that's dreadful to watch. I can't stand it. I don't even love it in the final movie, but it works better because production values and the guys have some chemistry and it moves along. But the first trailer is just, I don't like things being too cutty, but like, you know, today's audience are all well and prepared for that, and I think things need to move. So the first one didn't. We tried to make it move more the second time. With the third one, once we had it cut, we asked ourselves a lot of questions about what we like about it, what we think makes an effective trailer and what doesn't. And I think there are general answers for that, but the answer for you is organic to what you're doing. Like a comedy trailer is much like, I know when we're going to watch A Small Fortune, Adam's got something he's developing, and it's a thriller, it's a suspenseful thing, and his trailer's really different, and it's moody, and that's what I think it needs to be, and he knew that. But with the comedy, you go, well, you don't want to give anything away, really, right? And it's the same probably with an action movie, but you don't want to give away your big moments, and we're not doing that at all. And we questioned if you should even have quick shots of some things and nearly give them away. Giving away the balls was something, because Harmony had a terrific idea where Carl said that line, that was definitely nuts, that's earlier in the movie, and he's talking about something totally different. But she said, we have nuts, and we can show those, and then have him say that, and that's the ending of our trailer. So we started to, it was almost like writing it backwards. I mean, we knew that, we even wondered about just having a trailer that was just had that music and just show flash cuts. And then we said, no, we need to set it up. We need to have some type of sense of what the stakes are for Cooperman. And when you look at that scene versus the movie, when Matt Harper, who's playing Troy, is giving him the ultimatum, that's all kind of changed in time a little bit. But just to be able to cinch it as tight as we could make it, like we wanted to tell that moment really, really, really fast, and then get out of it. And then we knew we had a good setup to go into the Ode to Joy music by adding this whole outdoor scene, we recognized, oh, that's a good jump off point, or what do you have in mind? And then we thought, this idea came from action movie trailers actually, and Ode to Joy is used in a lot of trailers.
Die Hard.
It's in the Die Hard trailer, we watched that trailer, but whenever it gets to that song kicking in, the cutting's going really fast, and we thought, here's a way to show things, and we wanted to create this WTF trailer where people were like, what did I just see, what's that about, what's that, what's that, what's that? So it became really, in some ways, after massaging the intros, the section with the setup of Troy, and then the section with, which we didn't cut much, the section outside of the Cooperman's house when the music's about to kick in. Once we got to the kick in music, then it was like, we can go in so many directions here, as long as we don't give it away, and it was really fun to cut this trailer together where the others ones were just not fun to cut at all. But that music that we used, Ode to Joy, we used that because I think it really sets the tone where it's kind of like, what we're trying to do with the movie is sort of create a comedy but flip it in its back, so it's a movie that's got lots of, I think when people see it, they're surprised how dramatic the movie is, or what that happened, can that happen in a comedy movie, and I think comedy movies, some of them anyway, indie ones are not to blame, but a lot of them don't take chances. So we just wanted to take chances with this movie. So we wanted to have a theme that was recognizable and traditional, and then reinvent it. So I had some friends, and we all play music, and we went to John Mackey's studio, and I got one of my friends to play guitar solo, lead over that, and start to kind of destroy it and make it get worse and worse. I wish we'd even sped it up more at the end. But having the idea for the music is really important in a trailer, obviously, and I don't know if you can do a trailer without music. I can't remember the music in Small Fortune, but I'm sure it's suspenseful and sets a mood of it, right? So you have to have the music, I think, and you need to, especially with something like with what we did. I'm cutting, maybe sometimes I'm inverting this purposely, but kind of cutting to the beat to keep it rolling.
Oh yeah.
So we wanted to. The biggest thing we wanted to do though is like hook people. We wanted them to understand what the movie stakes were, and then we wanted to show them that the movie was going to be kind of fun, thrilling, and surprise them a lot. And that was all kind of organic to what we had. We knew we didn't want it to be too long, but I think that it depends on your genre often too, of course, right? And every trailer is different according to the genre usually, but that's what we decided to do. And there's 100 ways we could have done our trailer. Thousands of ways, I'm sure, but we're kind of happy with it. We're getting good responses from it. It's making people want to see the movie, so if you do your trailer and people are telling you that, then I think you've done your job, because there are hundreds of ways you could skin a cat.
So because this is where we'll talk about technique, but first, is this online?
These?
Like,
No.
is this system? Like,
Oh, are we? No, we don't have internet in here, unfortunately. Sorry.
So part of, I'll just talk about the Assassination of Michael Ellis trailer and how that came to be. And I knew that it was going to be a challenge from the get-go, so I thought, what can I do up front that is going to make working with kids a lot easier? Because I had a bit of experience in the past working with kids, and it's not easy, especially if everyone's a kid.
Isn't it one of those taboo things? If you're doing low budget, don't work with kids.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
Having a bit of experience illustrating and doing storyboards, and before I even got to that point, just thinking about like how do I approach this? And I knew that I have this script, and it's not, and now I have to tell the story within a couple minutes, or at least tease the story. And I thought that the one advantage that I have right now is that I don't have the whole thing shot. So it's not like if I want a character to say something that gets to the point a lot sooner than it happens in the script or in the movie, then I can just write the trailer. So I wrote the trailer out first, who says what we see at that point. So it was like a shot list, and then I storyboarded the shot list, and then I took my storyboards and I brought them into Final Cut, and then I kind of like animated my storyboard, and then I could see the pacing of the trailer, before I even like talked to a kid, I had a clear vision of what this is going to look like. And when I edit, I can't cut without music or sound.
I'm the same way.
So even if it's a temp track, I have to have some music to cut to, and that gives it a little bit of life in the editing.
Yeah.
So then, if my edits are on a beat, then that creates the pace. And if I fall in love with the music and it's not that expensive, I'll usually buy that track and get the rights for whatever purpose I'm doing it for. So with the assassination of Michael Ellis, I literally built my trailer shot by shot by shot, and because of storyboards, I could easily say, no, this isn't working, and I need this shot there instead of this. I could figure all that out before I even went to camera. And I also built the soundtrack and the soundscape for the trailer before I even shot anything.
Wow.
Knowing that I need laser sounds, I need sound of a light bulb breaking, I need all this stuff I knew I needed, so I went and pulled sound effects from sound effects libraries, and I literally built the trailer, everything but the voice, which I think was my voice. And I have it here on my phone, so I'll play that for you here. My name is Simon Connors, and I've made a terrible mistake. We put up with Michael Ellis for too long. We had to stop running. We had to stop hiding. We've got to get him back. We are. So let me get this straight. You're gonna build a laser and then shoot him with it? Not just any laser. Is that mercury? What's that gonna do to him? I don't know, but I want to find out. Hey, check out the jugs on. What's that sound? Kids, Michael Ellis will be out of school for a while. It worked! Guys, I think he's dying. What have we done? This is our secret now.
Wow.
Because I did that, and I had the tremendous task of working with kids, I knew what all the shots were. So it wasn't like I had to like wrangle the kids and like give them like big backstories, and it wasn't like the kids had to act out these full scenes in order to get this moment. I could just put them in position, tell them what they needed to say, and then briefly say, and this is why you're saying it. And for the kids that had acting experience, they knew what to do with that.
enough,
Other ones, I just needed them to say the line because I didn't have to worry about shooting a whole scene with it. I just needed to film them 100 times until they said it right. So
Only 100, huh? The bottom one.
here's the finished one.
My name is Simon Connors. And I've made a terrible mistake. Michael Ellis has been a problem. Something needed to be done. We had to stop running. We had to stop hiding.
We gotta get him back.
So let me get this right. You're trying to build a laser and you want to shoot him with it? Not just any laser. What's that?
It's Mercury Genius.
Well, what's that gonna do to him?
I don't know, but we're gonna find out. So, Bethany, are you in? Or are you out?
What's that?
And then, our problem ran away. Everyone's dead.
Kids, Michael Ellis will not be attending school for a while.
Guys, I think he's really sick.
We have to tell someone. I don't want to go to jail. Shut up. Simon!
This is our secret now.
Let's get that movie made.
I love when that guy, when the little kid says, "Are you in or are you out?" It's awesome.
It brings back a lot of good memories.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, it's very strong.
it really
Awesome.
draws you in and you want to see the movie.
Well, then it did its job. So that was that technique, and when I decided that I was going to go this route to make this trailer, first of all, I love trailers. I watch them every day. But it was after I decided that, okay, I'm going to go and try and make this trailer, then I really started to study trailers. And there's some trailers that you love and there's some that you hate. There's a lot that I hate, actually. But there was one movie that was a Jeff Daniels movie that just came out this year, but I saw the trailer for it like 3 years ago, and it was called Seventh Son. I've never seen the movie, and the trailer's not even that good, but the way it cut together and the pacing of the trailer was what kind of like was my inspiration for this trailer. Was that, you know, it'd start, there'd be a couple words, it would cut to black, fade to black, another story, back to black on the trailer. So it was kind of like, okay, that's quite engaging because I'm getting teased and then it's black, and then I'm teased again with something even more cooler, then we go get to the beginning of the story. So that's that one, and then there's small portion teaser. Big difference here between teaser trailer and a full trailer is a teaser. I'm not going out and shooting story. I'm not trying to tell you the whole thing. It's more of a, in this case, this was more of a demonstration of definitely storytelling, but I didn't want to have any voice, and I didn't want to have any text. So it was more of an exercise. Can I make something enticing that draws you in and makes you want to see more with just images, with just the visual side of things, and music, of course. So again, I storyboarded it all out shot by shot. I didn't animate it this time because I knew it wasn't going to be as complicated. We went out, I shot it. I took Dennis out to Tignish, where I knew I could have easy access to a Clydesdale, and I took out all my money in the bank in the form of $100 bills, and then I made about 60 fake hundreds but all the hundreds that you see on camera are real, and all the ones that are in the background are fake. Super risky, because I needed to get that money back into the bank. So it was like an afternoon, I just took out everything I had.
Can you get Dennis with you?
I hope the Clydesdale didn't
I was
need
going a big dish.
I'm 200 short.
Yeah, really.
So yes, there was some accounting that was done when we cleaned up. So another trick for upping the production value of your show is to that last shot there with the police going by. I needed some payoff for this guy that's got all this money, and you're asking questions. Well, where did it come from? Who owns it? Why is he hanging it up in his barn? What's the horse got to do? These are all questions that are to tease you, to make you want to watch the movie to get those answers. And like for the past couple of years, my obsession has been watching movies and reading scripts that have to do with this subject nature about people that find money or get involved, average people that get involved in crime or into problems that are way over their head. Just my preference of films these days. And I got two little kids at home, so watching movies, I'm very particular about what I can devote time to. But that last shot with the police going by was a shot that I felt I needed because it suggested that there was some criminal activity happening, or there's trouble on the horizon. But I didn't necessarily have the time and the desire to call up the police and say, I want to get this shot, and so on and so forth. So I went online and found an interesting website called Pond 5, and it's a library of stock footage and title effects and animation and sound effects. And so, and it's reasonably priced. A lot of the sounds you heard there were from there, and they're probably about $3 to $5 a sound.
Oh, wow.
And that last shot I found, I was just typed in police car, and I went through, and a lot of them were crappy and didn't really do what I wanted it to do. And then I found this cool one from inside of a window and rain coming down and police going by, so I downloaded a sound of police siren, and that shot I think was around $25. And I said, it's going to cost me more to like go out and get that shot myself when I can just download it and cut it in right then. And it was, it didn't look like it wasn't PEI or had anything to do with the story, so.
It was raining, so it could have been.
Quality matched. I mean,
Quality matched. Yeah. And you can preview all the footage too, which just has a watermark, and when you pay, the watermark comes off. And so it was very effective. In the pitch video we did, I paid, I think I spent like $100 and bought a bunch of cool shots to edit in. Like I needed a body washed up on shore, so I found like footage of a body floating in the water, but the camera's in the water looking up, and so it's all
cool.
And I was like, I can never go and get that shot, but here it is for $25, and it's going to make the world of difference. So when I'm on camera talking about the story and pitching it, and I say a body wash was up on shore, to cut to that just added so much value to whoever's watching to get that visual. So those are other methods and techniques that you can do to really amplify your story. If you feel like, oh, I've got this shot, maybe someone else has already done a shot and maybe it's online and maybe you can buy it for $20. So.
Might be a good place to sell your stock footage
Yeah,
too.
exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, some people make a living at it.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot out there, and a lot of nice stuff.
Yeah. And that last that title there that comes up, that was, and those, that like flame underneath, the dust, that was an After Effects template that I went through a bunch and I found one that I felt suited it. And I downloaded it and it was just like, it had some other text and I just typed in the title and changed some saturation levels and laid it in. And again, it just added another layer of production value that I knew I could spend a lot of time doing, or I could spend a little bit of money and have someone else do it for me.
So at the end of the day, what did a small fortune cost you to do the truck, the gas money, and the getting these technicians, buying these people? $300-400
I suppose I had to buy dinner for two gentlemen as well.
Yeah.
But it was at Shirley's. It was just hot hamburger and fries. Oh, I don't think it cost more than a couple $100 all in.
Bravo.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
awesome.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I can't, because it was like probably $100 in post-production and then $100 to get up there. And I mean, it costs a lot of money for the physical money that you see in the trailer. But it wasn't spent, it was put back in the bank. So.
Yeah, and if you don't have a lot of money or you don't have your own DSLR or something, like, you know, if you're going for the micro budget or something, the iMac might go, hey, there's some good equipment, but even if they don't, you remember, like, the equipment, like, that shouldn't be something you need to fuss over. I mean, you might want to make sure you get a good camera person that's not yourself, but we didn't spend much money in our first trailer, really, either. Kind of shows, but we didn't, and we didn't have the money to spend, but we did feel that we had, you know, tried to do something, so. I think you want to always, I don't know, keep it affordable. That's where I'm at. But if you wanted to you wanted to engage people and do its job of making people want to see the film, that's all it should do. And that can be as complicated as, like, Michael Ellis has a lot of production value in terms of moving around and shots. Like, you probably, I love the trailer. You might have been able to figure out a way to make that trailer half as long and shoot half as long and spend half as much time on it.
Certainly.
Would it have been as effective? I'm not sure. I think it's more effective for having done what you do.
There's lots of things I don't like about that trailer too.
Right.
And I find it moves along really nicely, but then with that scene in the library when they're asking, you know, are you going to build a laser? I felt like that was more of a scene from a movie instead of a scene from a trailer. Because it was kind of like the whole scene played out and slowed right down.
I think you're too critical of yourself.
Oh, well, it's too easy after it's done.
It is.
No matter how many times you see something, I see the final Cooperman and I just go, oh, there's all these ways we could have done that. But like us seeing that for the first time, that scene doesn't seem as slow as you think it does.
Yeah.
I think
It
my
works
scene with
out.
the guys at the hot dog stand does, or to me it certainly does still. But I mean, you know, we figured it out and we should have seen that the first time along. But we left those things maybe too late too. We kind of rushed the trailer a bit. We rushed our video pitch certainly. So you sort of have to give yourself enough time for these things.
Well, it's a process, a learning process too, right?
Certainly, yeah.
It was actually closer to $300 because all the fake money.
Yeah, what'd you spend copying that? How'd that work?
It was that. I mean, just to give you an idea, I thought I'd just simply scan a $100 bill and print off a bunch of hundreds at home. But there are amazing security measures that I discovered when I scanned that 100 and tried to bring it into Photoshop. Because my plan was to type on the money, like fake movie money, prop money, just so I wasn't actually counterfeiting money. But at the moment I tried to open the file in Photoshop, it detected that this was it was like an anti-counterfeiting measure, and it wouldn't let me open the file. And it said, no way. Adobe did not want to be a part of this process.
And it didn't bring the police to your door?
No, no. And then I got around that by simply previewing the scan in the Finder, and then I did a screen capture of that, and then Photoshop said, okay, we're not detecting it as money anymore. Go ahead. So then I made my fake movie money. But then I was like, I'm taking it to the printers to get it printed, so I created this file, and then the printers were like, we're not going to print your money. I was like, oh, it's okay, it says fake movie money, and they're like, sorry, but here are some guidelines for your file. And I'm only doing this because I actually tried to buy fake money online, but I couldn't find Canadian currency anywhere. Fake, like, prop money. It's all American.
Oh.
And just so you know, if you need American money, there's tons of prop. You can buy duffel bags.
Maybe that's the reason why they
That's like
used
if you
American
got a
yesterday too.
Yeah,
There's two of the
had
features had
American
American money on it.
Oh,
And
wow.
we were like, why would they do that? You know, but it may have been also because they couldn't get Canadian prop
So
money.
then I went back to Quick Copy and I said, you know, how do we make this work? Like, it's for a movie, and they were like, okay, it's for a movie. I was like, what do you want me to do? Like, come bring it all back and destroy it in front of you when we're done with it? And then they did some research and they found like an actual document by the Canadian Mint that says if you need to reproduce money or Canadian currency, this is how you have to do it. And it was ridiculous. It had to be in black and white, or if it was going to be in full color, it can only be printed on one side of the paper. And if it was also going to be printed in full color, it had to be either 3/4 the size of a real bill or 1.5 times larger. And so I had asked them to do 2 proofs for me at each side, and they both, one looked ridiculously small, one looked like funny money, and so neither were going to work for me. So then I like went back to the drawing board and it's like, what am I going to do? Because it's like it's got to match with a real one.
Yeah.
And then I just thought about like, what are my actual shots? And then I said, well, if I actually went and got a few real hundreds for the close-ups, so I was going to do fake exclusively throughout. And then I said, then I could put fake ones in the background. And if I went with the smaller ones, you probably wouldn't be able to tell because of the
They'll
depth.
be in the background.
And so I went back to them and I said, do this for me. And then I asked them to print them on one side only, but then stick them together. And then I said no, that they weren't going to do that. And that would be on me. So then my wife and I one night we were up sticking these fake bills together, and it looked so like I actually filmed a section of it because we were like literally counterfeit money.
Oh my gosh.
And with glue sticks and anyway, it ended up being about $100 to print 120 fake hundreds, and then no, they cut them out for me. They said they'd cut them to size, and then I glued them all together.
Isn't there something also that you can't see the serial number?
Yeah, well, I took that out in Photoshop.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I wrote fake money on it, and then that was just to get the printers to say, okay.
And there's also kind of a reflective thing, but probably at that distance you didn't even have to worry about that. You know what I mean? It'd be
The little hologram.
Yeah, totally.
There's the see-through part too.
Yeah.
On the hundreds.
Yeah. But
They've done a
you
lot of
couldn't
work
tell
to make
that
those
it's
difficult to
all-
come.
yeah, it's a good solution. I think, yeah, you needed that.
And the color was off, and I did have to do I had to go in and select each bill in post-production and color correct each bill.
Really?
To match the real ones, because
Oh
they
my
were
goodness.
they were off just a bit, and they did look like
Fake.
they were different. So I just brought the colors to match the real ones, and it worked. It looked great when I was
So
done with it.
when we take like the cost of making it along with what you like to pay yourself per hour and the time you spent on this, thousands of
yeah,
dollars.
thousands of dollars.
Yeah, you gotta.
It feels like
be
gluing.
willing to-
Yeah. Paying your wife to help.
So how much money was on the string if you had real money?
Altogether, well, there were 60, so $6,000. It would have been if I had real hundreds.
Just curious, because I think I would have been tempted to go to someone with deep pockets and say, can you lend me, you just have real money.
Yeah, I mean, if it was for like, if we actually got funding to do the feature,
Yeah.
we wouldn't be able to do what I did for the trailer. We would have to figure out a way
Mm.
to work with the Canadian Mint and the RCMP and do
I
it.
just use American.
Well,
Yeah,
that's the
how
easiest
easy
solution,
it
because you can
is.
buy it so easily
You
online.
could have got bricks of them and
Yeah.
shown like a ton in
Yeah,
the thing.
and that was an
and-
option that we.
And they're
really
paper
thought about,
too, so
but
you'd hang
because
them up more.
the nature of the project takes place on PEI, it just
Yeah.
didn't.
No, I understand, but it's
How
just
much
like,
money is he supposed to have found?
25,000.
oh, okay.
I mean, when you watch that too, though, I get the impression that maybe there's more money outside
Oh,
of the frame, certainly.
Mhm.
It seems like there's a lot there.
Yeah, it
But
does
you
seem.
just get to see it for a few moments.
Yeah.
And I don't think we're gonna sit there and mentally try and count it. You know, we're
That's
suspending
kinda
our
fun, though.
disbelief anyway, right?
Yeah.
So you show us money and you tell us how much the sum is, yeah, we're not gonna go, oh, that doesn't add up, you know,
Yeah.
we're gonna believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But a good example of how, I mean, it's just like two totally different beasts. Like, I mean, you'd never want to do a trailer, cooking a trailer for that. I mean, I don't know if it's a teaser, but, you know, that's a suspense movie so much about the mood
And that,
sense of
and
dread.
I feel like with comedy, it's like you better make me laugh in the trailer, where I don't have to do that.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I just need to set the mood and make you say, "Ooh, what's this?" Whereas comedy, if you're trying to sell a comedy, you have to make someone laugh.
Which is harder anyway because there's tried and tested, I would argue, things that are just work in suspense. I'm not saying it's easy to do a suspense
Yeah.
movie, but like a comedy, it's funny when we're showing our movie, like people are laughing at different parts every time and we're like, wow, they find that funny? That's tragic to us, or whatever.
Yeah.
But at least luckily, you know, we're mostly getting some good responses throughout, but it's always different.
Yeah.
So it's so subjective.
I
Where, like,
mean,
a
we
good
were
thriller,
laughing
we
at
all
the
sort of
first version.
Feel the same way.
Yeah, we were laughing at the first version of yours. I mean, after that, you know, you've seen it, but like, when you showed that first version, I mean, I found it really funny.
Yeah, there's some moments there, but anyway, like you said, it's a process, and you learn a lot along the way, but you have to be a little bit, as an editor at least I find, you have to be ruthless, and like, you just sort of have to learn, like, get to the point. And you need to do that in scripts anyway, in feature-length things, and like, things can't be too long. Some people are good at that. Some people can have Tarantino can have people talk for so long, and you're super interested, and if that's your strength, then go for it, but, you know, nowadays people,
Short attention span.
yeah. And I mean, we purposely wrote our feature to be short anyway. Our feature's 76 minutes long. Like, that's off topic for 2 seconds here, but like when we wrote it, we were like, we don't want to write a 100-minute film because that's going to cost us, we're going to have to shoot for 4 more days. So it's always you do have to, I think it's, if you're the producer or your producer will do this if they're thoughtful about it, but you've always got to be thinking about the money and a little bit.
Now,
Don't
with
let
the
it-
distributors or whatever, do they generally want it to be a certain length? Like, would 76 be seen as too short by anyone? or-
No, I mean, I'm not sure. A lot of comedies are 88 or 90 minutes often, but a feature needs to be 75 minutes long. And ours wasn't, so we had to go reshoot for 2 days
Oh, wow.
in March.
Oh, my heavens.
And add some really good stuff that answered some problems in the feature, but yeah, that includes credits, and you're allowed to. We were at 67 minutes, and they said just put credits. And we're like, we don't want to have like credits for that long, and we had a preview screening. Ad was there, and we had some people had questions, so we answered those by reshooting. But it's pretty tight. But a lot of the other films, I mean, I think Brett Hannah's film was 78 minutes. Cheryl, like not much longer than 75. So you know. You can save yourself some money. I'm tired of really, really, really long movies unless they're fantastic, and often they're not. There seems to be a bit of a trend.
I'm
It's
tired of
sort of
really
like-
long
when I think
credit
about-
rolls.
When I think about the length of a film, it's certainly a deciding factor in my life now when like I want to go see a movie. I
Yeah.
kind of look at how long is it because just with the kids right now. But once I'm in the chair, as long as the story's got me, it could be 4 hours long. I wouldn't care.
And see, I'm at the opposite end of the spectrum, where my children are grown, and I want to experience a movie, so I actually generally like longer ones, as long as they work and they're well-paced or whatever. So, yeah, so it's interesting. So depending who your target market is, maybe that plays into the length of it as well.
Adam, after all of this, like kind of working and getting money to do Michael Ellis and shooting it, and you know, we're going through all of this, and then having would you suggest still to go out and get money for a trailer, or would you say, you know what, if you're doing it the first time, don't do it on a budget, like do it like you did with A Small Fortune, or is it all going to be subjective too?
I mean, I would have done it for no money if I didn't have kids.
Yeah.
It just made it so complicated. And I knew that I looked at the competition too. And I said, you know, if I'm to compete at that level, I'm going to need some kind of funding to at least pay the proper people to do this. But as far as like if you've never made a trailer before, because I've got other experience before that.
Yes.
I mean, making that trailer was like a huge learning experience for me.
The first, the Michael Ellis one.
The Michael Ellis
Yeah.
one. Because it really made me think about how to tell a full, like a feature-length story in a couple minutes and not give away too much, but still get the point across as to what kind of movie this is. And that's the other thing that's really complicated about the Michael Ellis project is that I still can't tell you who the audience is. Like, it's just,
It seems like it would be family.
It's a little too dark for
but it
preteens,
gets, you know, it deals with death, and it deals with, because kids die in the movie.
Oh, children die, oh, okay, that's different.
Well, the kid, Michael Ellis gets cancer and he dies, but the kids feel that they're responsible for it, so
Right.
it's like their secret that they hold on to. But it's like, I'm playing off their innocence of not knowing any better either.
Right.
So it's like, it's complicated in that sense.
Yeah. But I think death is a subject, I mean, children have to deal with. I mean, my daughter, I think when she was like 3 or 4, we found a dead raccoon, and it was a huge, like, scene. It dawned on her that this raccoon was not going to get up at some point and run, and, you know, I mean, it's a subject you have to deal with. So, I don't know, is it taboo, or, you know, is that what the...
Well, I think it's just, like, it's not for kids, it's for adults, but it's about kids, and not too many adults, you know, would pay money to go see a movie about kids.
I don't know if that's true.
Well,
I mean, but you
I
think
can't
about
think
things
of any
like
other
Stand By
examples.
Me. Be a perfect.
But like in the last 10 years.
Okay, well, it just came to my
Besides
head.
Harry Potter, you know.
Yeah, well, there you go.
That's, you have to kind of look at what's in the industry and what is the rating for those films that are close.
So,
Cast No Shadow.
Slumdog Millionaire was one that we used because it was recent, it's about kids, and it was an Oscar winner.
Yeah.
Stand By Me was another one we used.
Cast No Shadow yesterday, it was a child was the main actor, and he was fabulous.
Yeah.
It
Don't
was,
give away the story.
I know.
I'm not saying that it can't be done, I'm
Yeah.
just saying that,
Yeah, no,
that
I agree.
this project is sensitive and, you know,
It's a tough audience.
is on the edge of many different genres and different audiences too,
Yeah.
so.
It seems
Well,
too
I
good
think
to
it's a
abandon.
great topic
Yes.
for people 10 years up.
Yeah,
It's an ethical issue, like, and they are dealing, by the time they're 10, they're dealing with the
But
issue of
because it's an ethical issue, parents are gonna know it's an ethical issue, but
Yeah.
13-year-olds might not.
Oh, but 13-year-olds are so involved in scruples. They're so involved in what is right and what is wrong. I think you've got an incredibly vibrant demographic who are dealing with big issues as they're facing growing up. And I think this one is just
It's
put
a
it
coming
right
of age
there.
film is what it is.
And they're so sophisticated now at 13.
Yeah,
I mean, my
more than they
heavens.
were when Stand By Me came, probably.
Yeah.
That worked at the time.
Yeah.
I think movies that are, in my experience in movies, I like movies that are kind of undefinable and sort of skew genres. I often remember those movies, and I find that those are the ones that have a bit more of a lasting impression. But I
My
think,
Life as a Dog. I mean,
Right.
you know, there are films that are so successful that deal with that child coming into fuller ethical consciousness, and I think you've got it right there. I think it's tremendous.
Yeah, I think it's the heart of the story that's the most important thing, and I think, you know, from what I see, it looks like you have that, so.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's what was missing with Mickey's script originally, was it was more a joke, and there wasn't a lot of heart to it. And it was really padded with characters that didn't need to be in the story, just complicated things. If you're wondering if I'm done with Michael Ellis and I'm never going to touch it again, I have no desire to go back into that world and continue with that project.
Because you're a dad.
because you know you need to give the focus to A Small Fortune, right? Or something
Yeah, because I
else.
only have so much free time right now to devote to a project, and A Small Fortune is my new baby, and it's got a clear audience, and I've invested so much into that project right now, and I think it's a more viable project for me right now. So, I mean, if anyone was interested in picking it up and doing something with it, I would certainly still be involved that way, but I'm not gonna be the guy that's shopping it around.
I'm curious.
It's always there in my back pocket, essentially. So if someone says, what else you got, then I'll say, Michael Ellis.
Have you ever seen other stories about Michael Ellis that are about the same, except he doesn't die at the end? Because it was so familiar to me, and it's like, okay, this is the story about the kid that really had this disease and, you know, came back to school, and they were a lot like, oh my gosh! Because I know there's another story out there that's just like that, except they don't die.
Oh, there's like probably a dozen Degrassi
Yeah.
Junior High episodes that are just like
Yeah.
that. So,
No, I don't think you should duck the bullet on that one. I mean, the bullet's out there and people are dealing with that, and I wouldn't have them come back to school.
in the script, he doesn't come back to
Yeah.
school, and it's revealed that he has cancer, and then the kids in school get educated on what cancer is. You know, and then they're like, holy shit, oh my god, and then they go and spy on Michael Ellis, and it all starting to make sense that they shot him with this laser and they gave him cancer. In their world, that's what makes sense. And then the parents get together and it's like a community thing, because Michael's secret's out now that he's had cancer, but the kids don't know that he's always had cancer for the past year. But he's now terminal and he's going to die soon. So then the parents force the kids to get together, and Michael's a bully.
Right.
To
Is
begin
that why
with.
he was a bully, do you think? That
But,
he was doing
yeah,
it?
it was his secret.
Yeah.
And so.
So the
and he
kids
didn't wanna
watching
get
it
out, so
understand that it isn't the kids who gave the cancer.
that's kind of like, that's the revelation for the kids at the end of the movie. Is that, and they're
The kids
like,
in the movie.
they're
But
like,
the
it
kids
gets to
watching
the
the
point
movie.
where the kid that pulled the trigger of the lasers is about to pull it on himself because he can't deal with the fact that he's now killed the kid. And it's only at that point that his dad walks in and is like, what are you doing? And then his dad explains to him what really happened. And then he feels ashamed and embarrassed, but it's his sort of,
And many of us have gone through things like that in
Certainly.
our lives. Like,
We
not
thought
necessarily
of
leading
killing
to death,
someone.
but yeah.
But I guess what I'm getting at is the audience, the kids in the audience know that it isn't the kids who actually caused it. And they get that because they're watching the movie.
yeah.
They get the same thing the parents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Now
it's
the other
not
thing
that.
is,
But younger kids who watch the movie might be in the same world as
the kids.
the kids in the movie. So,
The other thing that kind of tweaked me was mercury, because mercury really is quite a dangerous substance, because it can be inhaled easily and it has serious consequences, so.
Maybe it's not even mercury.
Yeah, maybe, would you, I wonder if you might have to change the substance.
Or maybe it's in the gun and it doesn't really come out of it. I don't know.
Or they
how it
think
works.
it's
well,
mercury, but it's
it all started with Mickey. It was his writing from a real instance where he was in elementary school and someone had broken a thermometer and collected the mercury in a pill bottle and was taking it around.
Cool.
And then.
Oh, we did that too.
And,
Yeah, oh, I know, yeah, I remember
Yeah,
that
it was
too.
in my hand when I was
And
little.
I mean,
Exactly.
really, and it's,
Yeah.
and
Now
it
it's
is
like
a seriously
super
toxic
poisonous.
Yeah.
substance,
I've got some
yeah.
of my teeth problem.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
we all do, yeah. Jeepers.
Well, it's interesting, you're saying that because I love the trailer. The trailer seems a bit more, slightly more of a Goonies romp and not as serious.
Yes.
Maybe to your brain it's as grim as that, but the trailer doesn't seem as stakes to be as scary and grim as that. And
Yeah.
then maybe that's okay, but did you ever consider
Well,
going
no,
dark?
my whole approach was to deal with real issues of growing up, but keep it light through the perspective of these children.
Oh yeah, okay.
And so there's a couple parents in the story and a teacher, but besides that, every scene is just kids trying to figure it out. And then, there's three of them that know the truth, and some of them want to tell, and so then they turn against each other and hurt each other, and so it gets quite serious in that way, but it's also silly because they don't understand what's really happening. And
But the dynamics are real, and I think that's important.
yeah.
Yeah.
But there's one thing I understand from your perspective is the kids can be ready for this movie, but the parents of those kids are like I do storytelling, And there are a lot of stories that have been told for thousands of years that I don't dare tell to certain ages because their parents are going to be politically correct and say, you can't say that. But the kids are ready for it. They're fine with it. But it's the parents. And when they go to that movie, they'll be like, oh, I don't like that he said that to my kids. But the kids will be fine. They won't even think about that part.
And you know who else might be politically correct? Our distributors and those types of people. Like, what Adam's bringing up, like I think everybody's right. This is the thing I like about the idea, like I was saying earlier, is that it's kind of outside the box of genres and it's different. So I think it's harder to get those movies out there, I think. But if they can get out there, I feel a little bit similar about Cooperman because it's not your traditional comedy. But talking to some distributors and different people about the movie, I can see how it's dividing some people, and some people aren't really finding it funny, and a lot of people are. So it's interesting. But if your distributors question it as a comedy, they go, well, this isn't funny, then you're not going to get them. Like, I mean, it is harder to get those sort of more avant-garde type movies out there. But I mean, those are the types of movies I like to watch, and they always get out there. But I think the ones that get out there, it might be a bit of a miracle that they made it. I'm not trying to, I think, be creative and make your story go off in unexpected places, but because compared to A Small Fortune, probably you look at that and you go, okay, it's got this vertical, like people like, I can say it's sort of like Blood Simple or I don't know what, but you can compare it to things and it's suspense and it's probably got all kinds of surprises in it, but it's a genre people understand. It might be easier to pitch.
And that was my goal when I started writing it. Was like I want to pick my favorite genre, and I want to write a story that takes place on PEI and not tread too far out of the genre norms,
right?
And totally make it a thrill ride from beginning to end. So that's what A Small Fortune is pretty much a huge cat and mouse chase through the entirety of the film with lots of twists and turns on the way.
It's got that nice shallow grave or simple plan kind of quality to it.
And some of those movies, depending on the complexities of locations and numbers of characters, like those movies are often shot for moderate budgets. Thrillers. Yeah, that's another.
So because I wrote it knowing that I was applying for micro budget, I kept it in the realm of a super low budget feature. But now with I'm currently I applied to the NSI Features First program with it, and part of that process you have to say what you're going to change with the script. And so I gave them the history, my application, that it was written for a low budget, micro budget, and then I listed all the things I plan to change for the next draft, and part of those changes will inflate the budget, but it makes the story a hell of a lot more entertaining and connected.
Yeah, I don't know why you limit yourself to micro budget if you don't have to. If you're going to go for a low budget.
Because I really want to make a feature film.
Yeah, no, I know, but for the Michael Ellis one, at this point,
yeah,
since you're not ever going to get a micro budget.
Wait, I'm sorry, guys, I have to leave.
And I think
Yeah.
this
Well, we're wrapped, it's 12 now, so.
Just a couple of things, Adam, I'd be very curious to hear your top 5 favorite trailers since you watch them every day. I think there could be really, you don't have to do it right now, you can let us know. But I think as a student of trailers, you've probably got a really keen eye of what you've seen more than the rest of us on how to do that, right? I think that could be really useful. Just, unless you have, you can just spiel some off now.
It'd be easier to make like the top 5 worst trailers going on.
Oh, really?
In fact, that's
yeah.
5 of your favorites, and Jason too. Your 5 favorites, your 5 worst, and we can put it. We can
edit it in.
We can edit it in.
I can't, like, it would be hard to pick a top 5 favorites, but one that comes to mind for one of the worst trailers was, and what makes a bad trailer is sometimes they give so much away you feel no desire to go see the movie.
Absolutely.
But yet it could be a fantastic movie and the premise is good, so that's what sucks so much about it, is that you had me in the first 30 seconds, but then you gave me everything I wanted. You answered all my questions in
I
the trailer.
hate that when I'm sitting in the cinema and they show coming soon.
I can't remember the name of it, but it's a movie that came out this year, and it's got Owen Wilson and Pierce Brosnan in it. And the premise, do you remember what it's called?
No Escape or something?
No Escape? That sounds, maybe that's what it's called. But that's living in China, I believe, or Thailand or something. And then there's a civil war that takes place, and they're caught in the middle of it with no escape. That's what it's called, no escape. And it was like, you know, Pierce Brosnan I've always enjoyed. Owen Wilson I like selectively, but this looked like a really strong piece for him, so I was like kind of happy for him that he landed this role. And the story was so cool, and the way the trailer is put together in the first 30 seconds or minute, I was just like, holy shit, this looks intense. And but then it just, the whole movie played out for the next 2 minutes, and so go check it out if you want a spoiler.
If you want a spoiler.
But you'll see what I mean, like how powerful a trailer can be if you know when to stop it.
That's a good point.
There's a theory about, that I read about, and I think probably partially true, about those trailers that give away everything. Often they're not very good movies when you see them too, is that they do test runs and they put so much into it and they see that people aren't liking it and they go, we need to make a lot of money the first couple weekends. And for some reason, there's a theory that that works, to give away stuff and go, oh my God, maybe I can't wait to go see this joke on the big screen. You go in and you go, that's it. And then the movie was going to have bad word of mouth after its first or second weekend anyway, but I've heard that. I don't know if that's true. It's just like, why give away everything in the trailer?
That's right.
It's ridiculous.
It should be a teaser. A trailer should be a teaser.
Like giving the end of the book away when you want, why would you read the whole thing, you know, the end.
The best teaser trailer I've ever seen in my life for one of my favorite movies. There's a movie called Terminator 2 Judgment Day that was wildly successful and is still, you know, holds its own against all the best action sci-fi thrillers out there. But before that movie came out and after Terminator 1 was such a huge independent success, James Cameron made a teaser trailer and shot the process of how a Terminator is built and made, essentially. And you never see that in the actual movie. But it looks and it sounds amazing. And when it's finished, so it's all these like metal parts and sparks flying, and it's got that da-da-da-da-da sound going through it that you might recognize.
Maybe.
And it's just so like cool, but you're not seeing anything, you just see parts, but you know that it's Terminator and it's a Terminator being assembled. And then it goes, this big like mold closes over it, and then when it comes out there's all this steam, and then it's Arnold Schwarzenegger, like fresh and clean, brand new Terminator. And it was just like the best, like even now I just think like what a way to promote a movie without even showing anything from the movie that, you know, will make me go and buy a ticket just because I know there's making a sequel.